And welcome back to Dynamic Character Productions. We are back with our seventh boot exit interview for DCP All Stars Rites of Passage. As always, I'm your host, Alex Trias, along with my mini co-host, McKenna Feeney, and Lilly, our queen of the exits. And these exits aren't possible without, unfortunately, the people that get voted out. And we have the unfortunate last member of the pre-jury, Brittley. Brittley, always a pleasure to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I was so close to merge,
I
so
know,
close.
I know.
But you know
Yeah,
what? I didn't get rocked out this time, so pretty happy with that. So
that's a plus. That's a plus. Yeah.
yeah.
We'll have to see Ashley and Maddie's fates, but you didn't get rocked out, neither did Corey.
We're doing good so far. This
So
cast is doing
far.
good. No,
Yep.
no wheel spins.
Well,
All
yeah,
right.
just to get into it, what were your first thoughts when All Stars was announced? I know that, not that it's been a long time, but you're a part of one of our earlier seasons. So were you automatically interested, a little hesitant? Talk us through what made you want to apply.
Oh man, when I heard that there was an all-star season, I knew I had to apply because especially knowing the people that I know, especially I had the thought of my friend Jeremy might be one of the ones applying for it. So I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I'd been wanting to do another one for a while, actually, because it had been it. I was like the second mini season
Mhm.
with Lalomano Beach, so it had been a couple of years. So,
Filmed February
uh,
2021. So yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were
So
we were on our second name at the time.
that's right.
But not at time of filming.
No, not a
No.
time filming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm so excited that you were brought back because I was looking at you ever since you played Lalumana Beach, and I'm like, I need Brittley back. She was just about to make her move when she got rocked out, not even voted out,
Oh,
rocked out. She was
the
just about to
rock.
make her move. So yeah, let's get into some good juicy questions.
Yes.
Yeah. So my first question is, so this is back in the first episode. We see Maddie explain that you were kind of brought into a cold call that makes a voting blocker alliance. I think Simmons, Danny, Maddie, yourself are in it. And Maddie kind of says it feels like it caught you off guard because you were kind of called in, you're the sixth person, you're like, what's going on? Like, did you feel this way, or was it really you were trying to hide that and just go with the flow during that call? Because later on we see you mention it as an organic four-person alliance in terms of Simmons, Danny, Maddie, and yourself.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised because before that call happened, I'd been doing one-on-ones like all day with people, including like Garsow and Andrew and them. And so I was unsure where the vote was going to go for the first tribal. And so then I get a message from Danny, and he's just like, "Hey, are you available?" And so I was like, "Yeah, I'm available for a call." And I was expecting another one-on-one because I hadn't talked to
He
him
didn't he
one-on-one
didn't
yet.
give you a heads up that
Nothing, nada. It was just like, "Hey, you available?" So I thought it was going to be like a typical one-on-one call. And next thing I know, I go in and I'm pretty sure I definitely looked surprised. And I'm sorry, let me mute my phone. Should have stopped messaging me. And it's actually Jeremy.
I'm gonna smack that boy.
um, so but yeah, I was expecting a one-on-one, and I come in and it's boom, it's Danny, Simmons, and Maddie in there, and I was going, oh, like I wasn't expecting this. And so I guess it felt organic to me in that we there was now it seemed to have numbers behind a name to vote out,
Mhm.
and I was more concerned with just surviving the first tribal. And I thought, okay, well, this is where the votes are going to land. And also seeing Maddie in there. Maddie was someone from the beginning that I thought I really want to work with her. Also knowing that she was kind of in the rock club with me. So I thought, oh, that's my in. We can, bond on that. So, but of course, not realizing until later that there was a little bit more behind the scenes relationship wise that I didn't realize was already there. But yeah, it was definitely a surprise, just kind of cold call, just being brought right into a major call. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. And I was like, oh.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'll go with it. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting because I wrote down, like, we don't see a lot from your Zooms in the first couple episodes. So I was wondering why you decided to side with the Simmons, Maddie, and Danny side of camp when you voted for Garsow and eventually Lydia. Is it because of that cold call into that one call? You're like, all right, well, that's where the numbers align, or was it more that you felt more connected? I know you mentioned Maddie, but as well as the other people that you were working with at the time.
I think for the first one, the first vote, it was definitely just trying to make sure I was with the majority of the votes on where they were going to land, because it was really hard figuring out like who am I going to vote for, because we had some awesome icebreakers in like Zoom calls as like a tribe, and we got along really well together. And so kind of like right off the bat, it's like, okay, double tribal boom. It was like, oh man, like I'm still trying to get to know these people.
Yeah.
But of course, after that, I had already built up trust with Mike and with Madeline. And so the two of us were talking to each other one-on-one. Mike and Madeline hadn't been communicating to each other yet. But we had been going one-on-one, and like from talking, it seemed that the best route for me to go was to stick with what was going to be the majority for my game, especially after Garsow was voted out. It seemed like Moorhead wasn't going to try to make any moves, any waves our next vote. And so unfortunately, that meant that kind of put Lydia in a hard spot with the narrative being pushed on. She's really good at finding advantages, and we already know there's a ton of advantages out there. And now with the first vote swap that happened with both the Austins on different tribes, there was that worry of, well, if there's a tribal swap coming in before merge, that could potentially like hurt us, because we voted Austin G out. So a lot of thought went behind that planning on making sure that we got out what we thought was like going to be the threat at the time. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you at the end of the day, it makes sense to go with the numbers. Just wondering, because we don't get to see it all in the long game formats, because there's just so much happening.
I could have made probably 3 hour episodes with all the content, and it's so sad when, like, at least like Fumo, we get nothing from them. We got some content from your tribe, and then you win the episode before you get voted off. So I'm like, there's how do I fit things into these episodes?
Yeah. Well, and the fact that I know most of my Zoom calls personally, it probably was the same for a lot of people, were probably like 30-40 minutes long a piece, where we were talking to each other. So that's a lot you got to comb through.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and speaking of a lot during the long games, I was just wondering, during the episode of Danny's vote out, so that's episode 3, I think, Austin Moorhead says right before the call, I haven't had a Zoom call with Brittley at all since the last vote out. Do you chalk this up to just life getting in the way, your schedule's not lining up, or is there something else? Is he making this up? And do you think that this is a part of why you were kind of left out on this decision?
It's possible that's why I was left out of the decision. Um, yeah, because me and Moorhead, we did have one Zoom call one-on-one, and I think especially with how a lot of us like were working during this, when I would get off of work, I was like, okay, like I got to get on some calls, got to start talking to people, even though I was like still messaging people kind of during work. Don't tell my boss. uh, but like the Zoom calls, it was like, okay, like I've got like a couple hours here to try to cram in what I can, and then we're going. And so I want to say probably a lot a lot of my strategizing too happened after challenges, like late into the night kind of thing, when I be talking to people. But honestly, it wasn't on purpose. I think it was just with who he was working with and who I was working with, and it just kind of, we didn't like maybe make that a priority, and probably we should have. But yeah, I think that might have been part of why I was left out of that vote. I think that maybe people knew that me and Maddie were working together. And so maybe they wanted to leave Maddie out, because there was in the tribe people that believed that Maddie and Danny were a duo. And so maybe by default, that put me in a position where they're like, well, if Brittley knows, then she's going to tell Maddie. And I know that Mike was brought into the vote, and me and Mike, we had a Zoom call at one point where we had discussed that if either one of us is ever pulled into a situation where we know someone's getting like blindsided, or the vote's going a certain way, but we know that like you are going to be okay, then if it's like a fast, like we're going into tribe and I don't have a chance to like say anything to you, are we like cool with that happening, as long as we know like the other person's going to be okay and protected kind of thing. So we had already had that one-on-one through a Zoom call before. And so Mike found himself in that position where the vote was being changed. And he really did struggle with not telling me, though. And so he kind of like came forward and said like, hey, I just worried that if I did tell you and then you had suddenly changed your vote to Danny, then that would put us both in a really bad spot, because of like the connections I'm working on this end with like I think he told me he was like talking to Austin at that time. And so I was just like, okay, cool. But at the time, of course, I didn't know this vote was being changed. So when the vote happened and I'm like doing the math, I was like, why either Mike or Maddie didn't tell me. And so I'm like really upset right now.
Lily's question actually kind of leads me into a segue question. Where you came from the mini format, so it was one day, and you're in such a different place than you were at that mini. You had just given birth 6 months ago, and it was one day out of your life, so you could pawn off the kid on someone else.
Yeah.
But now you have 8 days in the long game, 2 days, hopefully, to the mini, but sadly, and with a toddler. So, like, how was managing life and the game for you?
It was definitely different. I felt like super mom a little bit. There was a lot of hats being changed during those 8 days, because like I'm going from being a music teacher with middle schoolers to being mom when I got home, and then trying to mix in all of that, in between all of that, playing a game of Survivor in like a long format. And then it was like as soon as I would get my kid to sleep, it was like I am full game mode now. And so that really would hit probably right around the time we would have like our tribals and challenges. And so I felt like it took me probably a little longer to get into the swing of things and what's been going on. So it did probably put me behind on conversations and maybe getting some of those conversations in with certain people. But I still had fun with it. And it at the end of it, looking back at what I did, I'm still like proud of how I played with it being a different, like a hybrid format. But yeah, it was a lot of hats like changing that week just constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Ian says it a lot in these exits that like just because you don't make the merge doesn't mean you didn't play a great game. Like, and I think that definitely you have something that you can say that. I think you played very well with the dynamics because something we didn't really talk about, but I didn't know if you wanted to touch on was you were really the only person from your original season on your tribe. And so there was a lot of talk on duos on your tribe between Lydia and Garsow or Danny and Maddie, but because you are kind of alone, I don't know if you saw that as more of an advantage or disadvantage right at the beginning of the season.
I saw it as an advantage because I felt like it put me in a good spot to be brought into discussions with other people because there wasn't that worry of, well, maybe because she's already worked with so and so that there's going to automatically, naturally going to be this connection for them to be together. I was more concerned about like those matchups and duos once the merge hit, because again it's like maybe people would have been like, oh well, if I'd made merge, oh she's gonna want to completely hang with Shea like automatically, kind of deal. And which, I mean, who knows, like maybe me and Shea would have like had that conversation. I'm sure I would have reached out, been like, hey, how's it going, and just seen and got a feel of like what's going on. And I think that's like a normal and natural thing to happen, right? But yeah, at the beginning, like pre-merge, I felt like that was I felt that was an advantage because that put me in that spot where I was probably a little more approachable, and I had to build those connections with people I haven't played with before. So
Yeah, and we get to we get to a swap after Danny. And you mentioned a lot of, your previous relationships. You kind of touched on, your relationship with Jeremy. So I was wondering at the swap, were you hoping to get swapped with him, or were you like, it's too soon? I don't want to be in a 5-person tribe with him.
Let's
It's
hide
too
it.
close. Yeah, let's hide it. What were your thoughts going into the swap?
oh, I was like crossing fingers and toes the whole time I was going to get in a tribe with him. I was just like, okay, okay, okay. So, like watching who was being picked and stuff, I was trying to figure out if there was like a pattern to like what tribes were coming out of who, like kind of thing. And so I was going, hopefully this one's it. And it wasn't. So, I would have, I think my odds would have been much better had I been in a tribe with Jeremy, because then at that point, whether it was a 3-2 situation, where we were the two odd ones, or however that was going to be, we could have made something happen. But um, when I got swapped in with Kylie, Lex, Garso, and Karen, I was just like, okay, me and Karen are the minority, and me and Karen haven't really been working together. So we got to win. It was like, my thought process was, we cannot go to tribal before merge.
And you do win. You win the
Yeah.
first challenge, which is, I think, super hard when there's 3 tribes. And we see in the episode how close Karen and Kylie are. Were you aware of this when you were on the tribe, or did they hide it fairly well that, Kylie and Karen are close, I guess. I don't know what I was going to say.
Yeah. No, I honestly, I had no idea that they were close. And this is something that I think what what was detrimental to my game was the fact that, yeah, I had a lot of life happen since my season. And so I didn't do the research I should have done before going into All Stars. And which I know, like, for some people, when they hear that they think like, yeah, whatever, like that's
Granted, the only way
Yeah.
you can find Karen and Kylie is through a recap
Yeah.
of Monte Carlo.
Uh-huh.
So I forgive that one. That is
Yeah.
totally okay that you don't know that.
I
they're
don't forgive. We have all that content out there. Everyone should have known everybody's
Yes.
relationship.
Hey, you're no longer Mr. Recap, guys.
No, I'm Mr. Positivity.
Mr. Positivity. Yeah. So that definitely hurt me going into All Stars, because I was just like, you know what, I want to play. I want to play with all these people, and it's cool that I get to see a couple people that I played with before who I like know. But this was definitely a situation that I think, had I known about that connection, I definitely would have gone into the high rollers room, because I was a little too comfortable, especially with me and Lex hitting it off like just immediately. I think it was just crazy. Like we hit it off. We found out we have like the same birthday as each other, so it was like same like uh zodiac sign, like little sign and everything. So, and just we're like goofballs, and it was just like all this fun. And then me and Lex would get on these like one-on-one calls, and he was just like, okay, like, really, you need to really like talk to Kylie, you need to really talk to Austin, like really sell it, like why we should like go with you, kind of thing. And I was like, okay, yeah. And I would be on these Zoom calls with Kylie and Austin, and me and Lex are messaging each other the whole time back and forth. And I'm like, hey, we're talking about this, we're talking about that, blah, blah, blah. So I'm thinking like, okay, like he's really like helping me, which I know he was really trying to help me, because now I understand like his back was kind of against the wall a little bit with like his alliance with them. And then the fact of, you know, his strategy of, well, if I get to merge with Ashley again, and it, you know, she knows that like I voted Karen out, well, then that is going to hurt my relationship with her. And so I was like, I completely understand, like, from game point what he was trying to do. He was trying to like really push it without being too pushy, you know, kind of thing. And but I unfortunately just, you know, I felt a little safe, and I thought my conversations went really well with all three of them. And I thought I would be okay, but, you know, again, you don't know until the votes are read. And so once I saw my name come up twice, I was like, here we go. It's over. It's over. So I didn't feel like blindsided by it, but I definitely felt I felt like I shouldn't have relied too much on my instant relationship with Lex. But yeah, it was still good though. I mean, I still talk to Kylie and Austin now, so.
Oh, that's good. I mean, we see Lex have a really hard time, right, with the thought of you going home. Do you have any reactions to that confessional?
Oh man, I definitely cried. I cried with him, because that is hard. And I kind of put myself in his shoes, like if I was in a position where it was either my game or Jeremy's, like if I made it to Jeremy's. And as much as I'm like, I would never write Jeremy's name down, like ever, ever, ever. It's like this game puts you in these positions, and you're just like, like, okay, am I voting to save you because we've been friends forever, or is this really, is this gonna like keep me from winning this, you know? So it like I said, I cried along with him, because you know, I was touched, for one, that he felt that strongly about me. But also I can understand, like I can empathize with where he's at there. So
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
because
all
it's
the love to you, Lex.
yeah, it's definitely something that we see from not just like it's from a lot of people this
Yeah.
season. Like it's people like Kylie's journey in the beginning of the season was like, I don't want to make the same mistake with Corey that I did with Mike. Like, does
Mhm.
me just keeping someone because I'm very good friends with them outside this game, does that actually help me in this game? Like, and it's this really weird thing that all of us have experienced it, where it's like you're in a game with a friend, and it's sometimes very hard to separate those lines of like, I feel like by voting you out, I'm impacting our friendship negatively, where in reality,
Yeah.
the concept should be that we are in a game. In the future, I'll realize I wasn't beneficial to your game. I understand why you did it. We move forward. We have drinks. We go for Ian. It'd be like, let's go bowling or see a Pirates game. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like that's the part that I think people have a very hard time getting
Mhm.
past. But I feel like from these exits, a lot of you have come in and be like, yeah, it's emotional, but yeah, I would have done it. Like, if I needed to, I would have done it.
Yeah.
Like, totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we talked a lot about the dynamics of your swap tribe. A question that I had before, I feel like we've kind of touched on it, but just want to give you an opportunity is we see a lot from Karen right at the swap, right? She's the one that has all the information. So she sees it might end up being Lex and Brittley, Mia and Kylie and Garsow kind of in the middle. So she spends the first couple days where you guys won the challenge trying to, grow closer to him. She's like, my focus is on Garso. Like, that's the one I'm working on. If you had the information that she had, would you have really focused on Garso more so than maybe you spreading, yourself across all of the members? And do you think that would have made a difference knowing that Karen and Kylie were probably very unlikely to ever turn against each other?
I think so. I think that's a very fair point. I don't think I would have been on as many calls with Kylie as I was with, because I felt a connection there with Kylie, especially with us both being moms and stuff like that, that, we could kind of like, I could kind of like work that angle a little bit. But yeah, I for sure think I would have focused more on Garso and even Lex as well, on trying to like shift that a little bit. Um, and yeah, because me Karen and I, we did not talk at all. We were on that drive together, and maybe I should have, but also still knowing all the information, I'm like, it wouldn't have made a difference. It's still she was still going to be gunning for me anyways. So, um, it's like at that time, I did feel that Lex and I were really tight, and so I thought because of that it would kind of spread into like Garso and Kylie, with them all being in alliance together. I made the wrong assumption that Karen was going to be more so on the outs than me. So, and I thought it was kind of funny, Karen's little like speech when she wrote my name, saying like, I extended my hand 4 times out to you, kind of thing. And it's like, look, we talked, but you weren't sharing anything with me either in those conversations. So I was like, don't trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean those were a lot of my questions. I'll see if either of the hosts have any before we go to Facebook, but
All right, brilliant.
I do just want to say, before, you were my favorite person on my what's it called, fantasy draft. I like rewatched After Exile, rewatched all the old episodes and was like, I want Brittley to be my best friend. I was like, can't wait. So I'm just excited to finally talk to you.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed watching on All Stars, but I will pass it along to the hosts to see if they have any questions.
All right, brilliant. I've got a slightly long one for you. You making relationships in All Stars was one of my favorites. You made close bonds with a lot of people. So I'm gonna name a castaway, and I want you to just briefly kind of talk about your relationship with them. we just kind of talked about her, but I want to talk Karen. What was it like? What was it like for you talking to Karen, whether it was on the pre-swap tribe where you like didn't really ever see eye to eye, then you kind of had to. So let's talk about Karen.
Karen is like, I have to give it to her. She's just like constantly just on it with stuff. And I like, there's a reason why she won her season. And so I just, for some reason though, I don't know if it was just maybe I read some body language wrong, but I felt like we were just kind of like orbiting around each other, but there wasn't really anything making us like stick and work together. So nothing personal against her. I think it would be really cool to get to actually like meet her in real life.
Yeah.
But just during All Stars, for some reason, it just we weren't able to kind of like get together and make it work. So
all right, next person is Jeremy, your IRL bestie who brought you into DCP, and talk about what it was like seeing him on the cast and like technically Asterix playing together.
Super excited. That was the dream, was getting to play with him. And so that was the goal, was like just to get to him and, hopefully wherever we were at in our games, we'd be able to just like join forces and just take over. So
next one is Maddie, your Rockstar Alliance.
Yeah. Maddie, awesome. We clicked so quick. And like her personality, very bright, very positive. She's really smart. Oh my goodness. And she has like this determination inside of her that, I mean, she wasn't going to let anyone make her feel like she was their second. Like she was like, I'm your number one or nothing. Like,
yeah. Now I'm gonna go to Shea, who you played with in Lalamanu Beach. So what was it like seeing him on the Marooning, but you never got to play with him here, but you worked rather closely with him in Lalamanu Beach. You spread the Girls Alliance to him. So talk about when you saw Shea at the Marooning.
I was excited to see Shea. Shea is definitely someone that I was like, I think I could work with him again, but he is kind of a wild card. Like, I don't think you really know what you're gonna get with him. So it was gonna be interesting. Like I said, I would have loved to have like reached out and had a conversation with him, but I don't know if I would have been locked in yet.
Now we're gonna go to Lex, who you instantly had a connection with, and how did that just click?
It was just kind of wild. Like we, of course the swap happens and we're all together in a call and just kind of doing like breaking the ice kind of deal. And I don't know, it was just like his bubbly personality really just brought me in. And we started kind of talking about like the summer, like and our birthdays and stuff. And it turns out that we had the exact same birthdays and we proved it by showing each other our driver's licenses. So it's like, I'm not making it up. So yeah, we obviously have a lot of similarities and a lot of commonalities too. So we were able to really just bond real quick. So,
and my absolute favorite duo of the season, Mike and Brittley. I feel like it's such an odd pairing. I would have never picked you guys together, but it is a beautiful. I just wish you would have swapped together to continue that relationship. So talk to me about Mike.
Oh, it was one of those, trying to get to know each person individually on the tribe, and we got on a one-on-one together, and it was just kind of funny. Again, at the time, like my kid was awake or something, so like I'm trying to like hide from my kid to have this conversation. And like Mike's just taking it like super chill. And At one point, I was just like, whatever, and just like, brought my kid in while I'm having a conversation
Well,
with
he's
him.
trying to hide from his girlfriend or
He's trying
from
to
his
hide from his
sister.
girlfriend,
So,
yeah.
like, you both there.
So we were both just like, there's real life happening over here.
Yeah.
We're trying to game. And I don't know, it's just like something about him just made me go, you know what, I want to work with him more. And very quickly, it seemed like we established some trust with each other because I'm like, okay, if this is what one of my like main alliances is going to be, I kind of wanted to hand him some info I was getting from other people, and then he was exchanging at the same time different stuff, and we would be able to match things and go like, okay, well, like he's not lying to me. So I think very surprisingly, very early on, we just we clicked together so well. And I'm like, I would be an idiot to like throw this away. So I'm just gonna hang on to this. And I was hoping to see us both like make it to the merge as well. So
Yeah. All right. Well, that's my relationship questions. I just wanted to know because you had a lot of good, solid relationships and just wholesome relationships. So I just wanted to know more about them. Alex, do you have a question, or should I go into Facebook?
Go into Facebook. I think we hit most of the ones I wanted to target.
All right. First one is from the one and only Jeremy Urban. Brittley was so happy to see you play again and enjoyed getting to be on the same season, even if we never got the opportunity to play together. Sad face. What was one aspect of your game that you felt like had improved since you played last time?
Oh, for sure. I would have to say actually finding the clues to the advantages. I didn't say solve them, just finding the clues. Because that first time playing that mini, the one that still like I still kick myself over was the changing of the middle initials on everybody's name. And I see because Jeremy was on the production team during my season, and I see like he had like
Jeremy Y. Urban.
Yeah, and I was going, that's weird. That's not his middle name. Like just right over my head. And it's so funny talking about it afterwards because Jeremy was like, I thought you were gonna get that like immediately. Da, da, da. No, I was so overwhelmed by everything that was just going on so fast with the mini that it just did not click with me. And so I said, okay, going to All Stars, I'm gonna be like so focused on finding clues. And so I felt like I did really good on that aspect, but man, watching the episodes back, I was like way behind people still on like actually solving it. So
he also asked, when are you and Levi playing a Blood versus Water season?
Oh, so down. Like when Levi's old enough, Blood versus Water season.
Kylie then asks, Brittley, knowing how quickly you and Lex bonded, would you have been open to a plan to vote him out?
Oh man, that's a tough question. I think if Lex was able to flip the vote on Karen, I wouldn't turn on him later on, because that would have that, especially with like how loyal of a game I was playing, I would have been like, man, like you really saved me there. So
but what if Kylie and Karen come to you and be like, it's either you or Lex?
Oh man, like during that tribe swap. Oh, then it probably would have flipped. I would have been the one crying.
Oh no.
Oh
right.
my gosh.
We got one from Lydia. Brittley, you were a force in the game and such a warm presence to boot. What's your favorite musical instruments to play and or listen to?
So I'm probably a little biased because my favorite instrument to play is flute, since that's like my main instrument. But favorite instrument to actually like listen to a lot, I'd have to say the organ. That's like a fun one.
All right.
You ever like listen to the Interstellar soundtrack? Good stuff.
Awesome. Andrew Denson has a question for you. It is, being as non-biased as possible, what is the greatest musical of all time?
Oh, why are you making me choose? Les Mis.
All right, good answer. Then we have a question from Sarah. Brittley, I'm still so sad we didn't get to meet up during the game. I would love to know 3 random facts about you.
Ooh, okay. 3 random facts. My favorite seafood order is poke bowls. I am addicted to coffee. I even like permanently stamped it on me with a tattoo. Little coffee there. And then I love video games.
Perfect. Michael Zucker. Brittley, do you think you could have tried working a different angle besides trying to have Lex, Kylie, Garsow trio vote to go against Karen, or did you feel the three of them at the time couldn't be broken up? So, like, we kind of touched upon this, but what about in the world of you've already voted Garsow out once?
Mm-hmm.
Why not try again? Was that ever on the table? Do you think you could have flipped anyone to try and vote Garsow out here?
No, that was never a thought in my mind because I genuinely I had no reason to vote Garso out the first time other than, well, that seems to be where the majority is going and I don't want to be on the wrong side of the numbers.
Yeah.
Which looking back now,
I didn't
realize
you could have
like,
made the numbers.
I could have made the numbers, yeah. But at the time I felt that, oh well, there seems to be like a bunch of people, like most of the tribe is going this way.
Yeah.
And so that was never a thought on trying to like, oh, let's just, get Garso out again. And I really felt like the three of them were very tight. Lex, Kylie, and Austin. So I thought my only in was going to be through Lex and Austin. And so probably one of the first things I did was basically do my apology tour with Austin. And, like I said, I legitimately, I hated that I had to put his name down the first time anyways. Like that first vote is rough, like no matter what.
Yeah.
Unless someone does something like really dumb to make it easy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no mini vote. Like Bob in your season, he was just like, vote me out. So you had your easy vote. You didn't have to try in that one.
Yeah, it was like, okay, well, here we go.
Yeah, so John Millsip is encroaching on Mr. Positivity's question here. And what moment in the game were you most proud of that the audience didn't get to see?
Ooh. I would say that I'm really proud of how close I held my cards on some of my individual alliances, especially with my Maddie and Mike ones. So when we were having our one-on-ones, like the conversation organically made its way to where Mike was saying like, I think we should reach out to Madeline, and like Madeline was telling me I think we should reach out to Mike, and I'm sitting there going like, oh sweet Mike. Yes, please reach out and we could work together. So I'm like, I'm really proud of how that happened. And then I'd have to say like my challenge performances I felt were pretty good. I had like, I think we all kind of had like that.
You didn't make it. We didn't have to deal with ping pong balls and cups for you. So
yes, I didn't have like this weird bookshelf.
Yeah.
No, but I like those answers because I think especially for people who like follow Survivor, podcasts about Survivor, talk about these games, like something that's very hard to translate in an edit is just how you're able to build a bond with someone very quickly, because it's very hard to just put all those type of conversations in. But I think it should be made known just like how firm of a relationship very quickly you were able to make with 3 different people on this cast in an all-star season, in Mike, in Maddie, and in Lex. Like almost instantly you just were able to give a vibe with these like power players that made them go like, I want this person to be my friend. I want this person to be in my game plan. Like, and I think that's something that isn't teachable. It's just something that you are. And when you have that, that's so valuable.
I mean, what, you had a day and a half with Lex or something like that,
and you got
and
him
then you
crying.
had him crying in a confessional. So I mean, your ability to make relationships is top notch. But speak of the devil, I have a question for you. Brittley, my June 23rd emotional love crab, venti iced white mocha shot shaken, non-stirred survivor Osa tribe sister from another mister. How are you, love? I'm so grateful we had the chance to play together. I'm even more excited to meet you soon. For my question, we've got 5 rapid fire questions.
Oh my goodness.
Ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Urban adventure or scenic adventure?
Ooh, scenic.
Brunch and mimosas or game night and cocktails?
Brunch and mimosas.
Space Needle or Pike's Place Market?
Ooh.
Pike's Place.
Seafood or Asian food?
Seafood.
Aquarium or zoo?
Aquarium, hands down.
All
Big fish
right.
theme.
Yeah.
And that is it for Facebook questions. Mr. Positivity, take it away.
Well, my question is in there. But
I'm
yes,
not going to read it. You're here.
but yes, it's me again, Mr. Positivity. Tell me at least one positive thing you take away from your All-Stars experience.
I have to say, well, I mean, we kind of hit it with like the relationship building.
Mhm.
Like, I got to make relationships with a lot of really cool people. I got to meet a lot of really cool people I haven't played with yet before. And I formed a couple of like friendships that I think are going to like last for a long time past
Awesome.
this. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yeah, it's already bled into I'm making a Seattle trip to meet some people. So
Love that.
It's always about going to Seattle and DCP.
yeah. Making a
Yeah.
trip.
I mean, when half our DCP alumni are all over there.
I swear the Seattle DCP alumni group is not a cult.
Yeah, because like the rest of us, we're over here on like the East Coast, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I'm like,
There's not too much in the middle, but we do sprinkle it all
We do
around
sprinkle
in
it.
there. All right, Brittley. So we do have a few more questions. 2 of them are from Ian, and his first one is, so if you could replace someone on the All-Stars cast from your original season, the only person being Shea, who would you replace it with? Him with from Lalamana Beach.
I would love to have seen the winner from my season, Jackie, in there. Like that would have been interesting to see how much that would change over there. So
Ooh, yeah, give a winner on each tribe.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah. And then his second question is, who is on your DCP Mount Rushmore? Excluding their All-Stars game, we have no knowledge of what is going on in All-Stars, just talking about their previous games.
Mm-hmm. Well, probably the first one in there would be Jackie from Lalamana Beach. She was really like I want to say her game was very quiet, and so a lot of people underestimated her, and she was able to like go in and make these big moves. And I think it just took a lot of people by surprise. And so I think for sure she would be my first one, and would have loved to have seen her on All Stars. Probably second one would be Morgan from my season. She was really fun to work with, and I mean, again, the whole advantage stuff, like she was able to just like find those like crazy. And then I think, especially after getting to know her a little bit and knowing that she's been in previous seasons. So, I mean, we're not counting All Stars, but Lydia, I would put Lydia up there because she really smart. Again, the finding the advantages. And then this one's biased, but I'd have to say Jeremy.
I was like, where's it coming? What's it coming here? I mean, he did like play a great game too in Yasawa.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's so good at figuring people out. And even outside of DCP, like we do Survivor fantasy drafts all the time, and it's like we're sitting there just talking nonstop about Survivor and everything. And so I always like, we'll be brainstorming strategies and stuff all the time. So so I'm like, I have to put him up there. I look up to him a lot with Survivor stuff.
Awesome. So Lilly, your last question.
Yes, so we like to end every exit interview, and it is the same question. If you could summarize your game in one word, what would it be and why?
I would summarize it with friendships or friendly. So yeah, and I think why I would pick that is just I I did a really good job with building relationships with people, and I think organically outside of the game these have like turned into actual like friendships outside of the game. So yeah, I think that's like where I would put it.
Love that.
Yeah, great answer.
All right, Alex.
Well, that wraps up another amazing exit interview for DCP All Stars Rites of Passage. As always, thank you to our guest Brittley for coming here, answering all of these questions, and really being another bright spot of this season and part of our DCP alumni. And stay tuned, everyone, because exit interviews will keep coming as we can get people. But most of our episodes are still going to be coming out Mondays and Thursdays, sometimes an occasional Friday. We need our editor to have time to actually sleep.
Yeah.
And as always, we'll have our Sunday show with John David Millsip and friends. And those are always a fun time. But as always, follow along by following us on all of our social media that you'll see at the end of this video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, press that bell for notifications so that you know when all of our content drops. Until next time, see ya.